Part 8. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 71. Chapter 71 Meeting the Cutie Again. Jian Yuman has two worries so far. First, my mother was missing and could not be found. There was no clue at all. The only clue was that after Tanyuj investigated for a long time, he finally found some clues from a nurse's mobile phone. The nurse was taking a selfie at the time, and happened to take a photo of the man who was transporting Jian Mama away. The people who took Jian Mama away were all wearing masks, so they could only see clearly above the eyes, and the only thing that could be identified was that he was an Asian man. The person who took Jian Mama away was very powerful and did everything right. The hospital only knew that the big shot was taken away, but they didn't know who it was. The clues are gone, and there is only a man whose face cannot be seen clearly. The only thing that reassured her was that the other party had no ill intentions. He took Mother Jian away for medical treatment. If the other party wanted to harm Mother Jian, there was no need to do everything in a flawless manner and there was no need to take people away. Second, she suspected that Tanyuj was not good at it, and that his lower body was not good at it. The couple lay together every night and did nothing. After what happened last time, Jian Yuman was very depressed. Thinking of her as the school belle, there are countless men out there who want to climb into her bed. But he was lying next to Tanyuj, and nothing happened. After this period of observation, she seriously suspected that her husband was not good, but she did not dare to ask. After all, men felt embarrassed about such things. If you ask her, you might get angry. What if you divorce her? Where can I find such a good husband? The above two worries are Jian Yuman's biggest worries in the past week. She had no clue about the former and could only ask Tanyuj's rich friends for help. She tried her best to find a solution to the latter but couldn't come up with one. Jian Yuman has almost completed her credits. In less than half a month, she will be able to complete her credits and graduate from college 1 year ahead of schedule. Going home after class, all Jian Yuman could think about was how to seduce Tanyuj at night and how to restore her husband's glory. Alcoa! A shout sounded from behind Jian Yuman. Jian Yuman, who was thinking about something, naturally didn't hear it. A pair of hands patted her shoulders. She turned around and saw a blond boy, smiling brightly at her. There were two dimples on both sides of his cheeks. He was very cute. Jian Yuman's heart immediately rose. What a cute chota, so cute, I really want to pinch his cheek, it must feel good. Only, why does this handsome guy look so familiar? I seem to have seen him somewhere. Alcoa, don't you know me? I'm the immortal Yingj who gave you a mini golden dragon last time. The blond boy's smile faded, and he pouted with a pitiful expression. He looked at her like a puppy, as if he was attracted by her. Abandoned little pitiful person. Oh, it's you, little brother. Jian Yuman immediately remembered the last time she misunderstood him as a little boy who touched porcelain. The smile that Xian Yingj was about to show froze on his face, and he looked at her pitifully again. Don't call me little brother. I'm not young. I'm 22 years old and a social elite who has been working in society for 4 years, how young? He just looks like a 16-year-old boy, but he is a grown man. Jian Yuman raised her eyebrows slightly and looked at his pitiful eyes. He could still see the cute dimples when he pouted his mouth. He didn't look like a 22-year-old adult male. Then I'll call you cutie, Jian Yuman teased. Xian Ying's mouth was still pouting, obviously unhappy. Little fairy. Xian Yingj almost cried. Which one should I choose, Xiaoying or Yingj? Okay, Yingj. Xian Ying's pitiful expression faded and he smiled brightly. Alcoa, what's bothering you? I just called you several times and you couldn't help but wake up. Oh. I was thinking about how to seduce a man, Jian Yuman blurted out, realizing that it was too late to take back what she said. Xiaojej, who was misunderstood as having lower body function, expressed that he was wronged. Wife. 5 updates today. Are you happy? Continue to vote today. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 72. Chapter 72 The Cutie's Proposal. Xianying's eyes widened and he looked at Jianyuman with a frightened expression. She smiled awkwardly. Don't get me wrong, it was my friend who suspected that her man's lower body wasn't good enough. She was so annoyed that she asked me to help with some advice. Oh, Xianying patted his chest, startled. I'll give you some advice. Jianyuman looked at Xianying up and down with suspicion, with his cute face and flat figure. No. No matter how you look at him, he doesn't look like an experienced man. Instead, he looks like a simple boy who doesn't understand anything. Feeling the humiliation in Jianyuman's eyes, Xianying stood up and said proudly. Why, you don't believe me? I have been an elite member of society. He also raised his biceps to show her. Look, I'm very strong. Jianyuman looked at his small biceps indifferently and laughed with a split mouth. You don't believe me, Xianying's voice was raised, with a look of shock on his face. Jianyuman shook his head repeatedly and stopped teasing him. Okay. Dear young Master Yingzhi, could you please tell me how to solve the problem of in the future for my friend? Xianying hummed proudly. It's not easy to seduce a man. Taking off your clothes and lying on the bed may not work. You have to dress very sexy. Silk pajamas that are vaguely visible are the best. What if it doesn't work? I remember that there were many times when Guang was in front of him, and there were times when he was pressed under him, but all failed. Then just give the medicine, I will tell you. This method will work for all men. If you can't knock a woman down after one sip of medicine, it certainly won't work for a man. Xianying nodded matter-of-factly, and the beautiful big man staring at Jianyuman, his eyes told her that she must trust him. He has experience. He is an experienced driver. Medicine. Jianyuman immediately remembered the first time she met Tang Yuge. She accidentally took the medicine, but Tang Yuge didn't take advantage of it. I don't know if it was him who ate it, he would have to deal with it on his own. Or will the wolf transform and give her to, he. Jianyuman thought about the excitement, and a smile appeared on her face unconsciously. She looked like a dangerous person no matter how she looked. Xianying took a step back unconsciously. This Alcoa must be thinking wildly. Jianyuman stretched out her hand and pulled Xianying to run to the mall. She couldn't wait for the evening to arrive. Arrived at the shopping mall, Xianying stood in the underwear store with his face flushed, his whole body stiff, and his big round eyes looking around curiously. In underwear stores, it is rare for men to accompany their girlfriends to choose underwear. Occasionally, there are strong men with thick skin. There was only one cute boy named Xianying. His face was red and he felt uncomfortable all over. It looked like he was here for the first time. The beautiful passers-by are in teasing mode. Little brother, go shopping with your little girlfriend in the underwear store, remember to take good measures at night. You're underage, it's not bad to be enlightened at such a young age. Little brother, do you think this looks good? I like it. My sister bought it for you as a gift for your little girlfriend. Any woman passing by would not be able to help teasing Xianying, so Xianying did not help Jianyuman at all, and was afraid of being misunderstood that she was an old cow eating young grass, so she walked far away to choose. Jianyuman is holding a red silk piece in her hand. The translucent material can be vaguely seen when she puts her hand in the middle. The color is also very suitable for her temperament. Xianying saw it and shouted loudly. You look good. He immediately got rid of the beauty who wanted to pinch his cheek and ran to Jianyuman's side. Phew, finally got rid of it. Jianyuman looked at the pajamas in her hands, then at Xianying, and put her pajamas on him. It looked good. Hey, little brother, your girlfriend picked this for you, it tastes good, I'll buy one for my boyfriend too. A Western woman laughed at the side. Xian Ying's face turned redder, and he reached out and snatched the little nene in her hand. That's it? Let's swipe our cards and go. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 73. Chapter 73, Change into Women's Clothing and Escape. Xian Ying took his pajamas to the front desk and swiped his card. Qian Yuman covered her mouth and laughed, amused by his cute appearance. He also said that he was very experienced, and his face turned red like a monkey's after being teased twice. Qian Yuman walked up to him and insisted on buying it with her own money. When she saw the diamond card he took out, the corners of her eyes twitched slightly. Yingzhi, I didn't expect you to be a rich man. Although Qian Yuman cannot tell the prices of major luxury goods at a glance, he still knows the most basic cards. The bank's credit card in his hand requires a minimum annual income of $500, or a personal capital of more than $20 million to apply for. He belongs to the aristocracy of diamond cards, and there is no clue that he is such a wealthy person. Xian Yingzhi looked at the diamond card in his hand and smiled indifferently. It's run by my family, so I can do whatever I want. But my boss pays me generous wages. I'm not just trying to get my wife. I want to save money to get a wife, and spend all my family money outside. He still looked smart. Ouch, oh my god, Xian Yingzhi suddenly exclaimed. In panic, he held the packed clothes in one hand and took Qian Yuman's hand in the other and rushed out. He looked left and right, then ran forward with a panicked look on his face. Yingzhi, what are you doing? Qian Yuman's face was confused by Xian Yingzhi's sudden behavior. What is she doing? Are there jackals, tigers, and leopards? The enemy is coming. Xian Yingzhi stamped his feet in panic. What should he do? How to escape? Qian Yuman looked around and immediately saw three groups of people looking around, looking for someone. It's a dead bird, there's no way to escape. Xian Yingzhi looked like he was about to cry. He pulled Qian Yuman and squatted in the clothing store nearby, looking at the groups of people surrounded in panic. How to pinch? What to do to pinch? He is going to be taken away. Woo woo woo. Qian Yuman looked around while thinking of ways to help him escape from the enemy's hands. When he saw where he was, and then looked at Xian Yingzhi's thin body and cute little face, a good idea came to him immediately. She reached out and patted Xian Yingzhi heavily on the shoulder. Sister, I have a good idea. I wonder if Yingzhi is willing to do it. Why? Xian Yingzhi looked at her with a harmless expression, not knowing that he was about to satisfy the hobbies of a perverted woman. 10 minutes later, Xian Yingzhi was still in the fitting room, reluctant to come out. Yingzhi, are you okay? Qian Yuman poked her head curiously. A faint, trembling voice came from the fitting room. Good bird. Woo-oh, he doesn't want to come out. Come out quickly, we have to run for our lives. Qian Yuman's fingers rubbed each other, and her whole body was in a state of excitement. Ah! So excited. Xian Yingzhi awkwardly opened the door of the fitting room and walked out. Qian Yuman forgot to breathe. She looked at the beauty wearing a wig in front of her infatuatedly. She was wearing a cute Japanese Lolita-style pink lace dress. He had fair skin and wore it specially to cover the hair on his legs. She wore a pair of white polka dot socks and a pair of bow-knot fishmouth shoes on her feet. The lovely Qian Yuman almost screamed, and a classic sentence immediately echoed in her mind. So cute, he must be a boy. Qian Yuman smiled foolishly, approached Xian Yingzhi with a vulgar expression, reached out and pinched his face, and then took out his mobile phone and took Xian Yingzhi to take a selfie. Kaka kaka. For the first time in her life, Xian Ying's photos of women's clothing flowed into her mobile phone. Years later, I still regretted why I had to obey her words and was forced to take photos while changing into women's clothes. From then on, I started to live a miserable life. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 74. Chapter 74 Drinking. At night, Qian Yuman sneaked into the wine cellar like a thief, and it was very strange to look around. She also held a small bottle of unknown substance in her hand, holding it tightly to prevent it from falling to the ground. After making sure that no one was around, she quickly entered the wine cellar to find a bottle of good vintage red wine, then walked to the bar to open the red wine. He took out 2 red wine glasses and placed them on the table. He raised the unknown small bottle in his hand with a wolf-like smile on his face. He, Mr. Tang, let's see if you are serious tonight. The small bottle Qian Yuman held in her hand was something given to her by Xian Yingzhi. In order to thank her for helping him get out of danger, she also specially ordered that the medicine be strong and be used with caution. Too much is not good. Slowly pour this thing into the cup. The transparent liquid pours into the cup without leaving any trace. Qian Yuman returned to the room holding 2 wine glasses in one hand and red wine in the other. Tang Yuj hasn't returned to the room yet, and is still reading in the study. She will hug the suit and happily enter the bathroom to take a bath. Looking at herself in the mirror, her face was like a peach blossom. She was so beautiful that she almost fell in love with herself. Sure enough, the biggest regret in this life is that I can't kiss my own face. What a pity. How beautiful. The sound of opening the door sounded, and Qian Yuman jumped up from the ground like a frightened bird, looking nervously at the closed bathroom door. Should you rush out and fight now? Forget it. Girls, you should be more reserved. Qian Yuman, who thought everything was great, got stage fright before going on the stage, and had no strength at all to hold the doorknob. Go. She actually didn't dare to go out. She was really a coward. As soon as she looked back and saw herself in the mirror, her hands became softer. Sure enough, no matter how rich your heart is, it is easy to drive with your mouth, but it still takes courage to use live ammunition. She was doing various mental preparations for herself, and there was a knock on the bathroom door. Honey, are you in there? You didn't fall asleep in the bath again? Qian Yuman had such an experience before. No, I'll go out right away. Qian Yuman gritted her teeth and cheered for herself in the mirror. Hurriedly opened the door and rushed out. Unexpectedly, the person was at the door and ran directly into his arms. With everyone in his arms, there was no time to think, so he hugged him with both hands, raised his little face and winked at him seductively. A certain stupid young man stretched out his hand to support the little beauty who rushed out of his arms, and asked with concern, "Are you okay? Why are you blinking all the time? Is there sand in your eyes?" "No, Mr. Tang, can't you see that I'm seducing you?" Leng Toking helped her stand upright, and Qian Yuman immediately clung to the wall in an exaggerated manner. "Mr. Tang, do you think my new clothes are beautiful? Dear concubines, don't wait for the 5th update. Because I had insomnia yesterday and almost didn't sleep all night, my whole body felt bad. This was the first time in my life. Just can't sleep. Now my chest is tight and painful, I'm extremely tired and can't sleep. As soon as I feel more comfortable, I will post the 8 p.m. update, lest my beloved wife will panic while waiting. I haven't written the update tomorrow morning. I'll wait and see if I can update it when I feel more comfortable. I need to adjust my schedule. Concubines should also pay attention to the Holy Eucharist." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 75. Chapter 75 Tempting Mr. Tang 2. Tang Yuj noticed it the moment she rushed out. Now he saw more intuitively that her face was slightly red, and she coughed slightly and looked elsewhere. It's quite special. Is it just special? She winked again, but unfortunately she didn't even look at her. Quite pretty. She walked slowly towards him. When she got close, he would take a step back, and he was unconsciously forced to the edge of the bed. Are you beautiful? Then why don't you look at me? It looks good, but it's just too thin. Be careful of catching cold. After saying that, he picked up the blanket on the bed and draped it over her body, wrapping her up. Someone turned his back to her. Tianyuman looked down at the blanket on her body and rolled her eyes. She didn't show it clearly, but he was actually worried that she would catch a cold, and wished he would strip her naked to make her cooler. Well, it seems that extraordinary measures must be used to deal with this stupid young and nerdy guy. Mr. Tang, do you want to drink? I got a bottle of red wine from the wine cellar. Drinking a glass of red wine before going to bed is good for your skin. He took off the blanket on his body, walked to the coffee table and poured the red wine into the cups, one of which there is aphrodisiac medicine. He didn't believe it, so he pushed her away this time. Putting one of the glasses of wine into the hands of Tanyuj, who dared not look directly at her, she clinked the glasses gently. Tianyuman drank half of the glass generously. While Tianyuman was drinking, she kept observing him from the corner of her eyes, and kept thinking in her heart, drink quickly. Tanyuj brought the wine to his mouth, gently sniffed the aroma of the red wine, frowned slightly, and reached out to the red wine from her hand. There's something wrong with this wine. It seems like it's been placed improperly and has a peculiar smell. With that said, Tianyuman turned around and walked towards the toilet. Tianyuman's face changed drastically. She screamed and rushed over, intending to it back from him. Mr. Tang, stop it. Elegant butterfly. Unfortunately, her legs were not as long as Mr. Tang's. She watched the red wine being poured into the toilet. As the water flow was flushed, her glass of red wine with added ingredients was also washed away. Oh heavens! The earth, her red wine, her sexual happiness. Mr. Tang. Mr. Tang. You can smell the different flavors of red wine, so why don't you have a less sensitive nose? Are you from the same ancestry as Cupid? You can't just kill it in one gulp. Why do you smell it? Looking at the red wine being washed away, Tanyuj had a wicked smile on his lips. My wine, Tianyuman muttered. Tanyuj innocently turned to look at Tianyuman, who looked frustrated, and asked innocently. What's wrong? Tianyuman shook his head and sighed. It's nothing, I just feel it's a pity. This wine is so expensive. It's very expensive, and it also contains red wine. Why? All plans for tonight failed, woo woo woo. She wanted to cry so much. Why is it so difficult to get Mr. Tang into bed? Is it true that Mr. Tang can't do it? Or is he simply not interested in women? Like men. Thinking about Mr. Tang, there are many young men around him, but there are no young women. Think of his 3 friends, all of whom are as beautiful as flowers, and then think of Mr. Tang's secretary. The next day, Tanyuj always felt that his wife looked at him strangely, especially when Secretary Zhang appeared. Tianyuman had no classes in the morning. Tanyuj had classes one day, and Secretary Zhang came to pick him up early. Tianyuman looked at Tanyuj and Zhang Tianrui together, and watched Secretary Zhang opening the door for Tanyuj, and suddenly she felt that everything she couldn't figure out was figured out. She said, why does Mr. Tang, a doctor, have a secretary next to him? The secretary is fake, but the lover is real. Oh my god. Does her Mr. Tang like men? That's why I'm not interested in her. I said that Xiao Manman's thoughts are too, I can't go on. I'm fine. I slept all day today, but now I'm still sleepy and want to continue crawling into bed. Could it be that, I have it? Ha ha ha. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 76. Chapter 76. Poor Yingzhi. No, she will continue to think of a way, and it is inevitable that Mr. Tang will be executed on the spot. Qian Yuman firmly believes that even if the other person likes a man, she can still make him straight with her beauty and wisdom. Qian Yuman came to the wine cellar again, took a bottle of Remy Martin brandy from the wine cellar, and took out the beautiful bottle of cognac DNA that Lan Tianlu asked for last time, and poured the Remy Martin into the wine cellar. Into the vacant DNA of cognac. The fake and shoddy DNA of cognac was born. Qian Yuman happily took out her mobile phone and broadcasted a call. Yingzhi, are you free today? Sister, I'll treat you to dinner. Xian Yingzhi happily agreed after receiving the call and made an appointment at the location. Before hanging up, Qian Yuman specifically asked, remember to bring a blank check. Although Xian Yingzhi didn't understand what her purpose was, he happily agreed. Qian Yuman looked at the fake DNA of cognac in her hand and felt happy. Qian Yuman arrived at the appointed restaurant early. When the time came, Xian Yingzhi's cute face appeared in the restaurant, and Qian Yuman greeted her warmly. Xian Yingzhi said excitedly as soon as he sat down. Qian, I didn't expect you to ask me out for dinner. I'm so happy. Qian Yuman then sighed sadly, her pretty little face wrinkled up. I came to see you today. In fact, the drunkard's intention is not to drink. I have something to ask you for help. Is it your friend who is a loser? Xian Yingzhi hit the nail on the head with an expression that said, I know it. You have guessed all this. You don't know that my friend failed to seduce him and did not let him take the medicine. I even doubted whether he likes men. Qian Yuman sighed sadly, feeling that for the first time a man can't help it. He thought she, Qian Yuman, had a face that would make anyone admire her, but she couldn't get her husband to marry her. No one believed her even if she told her. Xian Yingzhi immediately smiled mischievously, mysteriously took out a small box from his bag, looked around with big round eyes, and put it on the table. Qian Yuman's eyes widened when she saw the things on the table. She stretched out her hands to cover the flat box in case the explicit picture on the box would be seen by passers-by. Yingzhi, why are you showing off an action blockbuster from an island country? How embarrassing it is to be seen by others. She dared to circulate this thing privately, but she didn't expect him to be so direct. Westerners are really unrestrained. This is for your friend. I have already thought about it for you. I will continue to feed my boyfriend the aphrodisiac tonight. If it fails, I will continue feeding him. After feeding him, I will watch this movie with him. If he doesn't believe that, he will still no response. Xian Yingzhi spoke in a low voice in his non-standard Chinese language, looking around like a thief, lest someone overhear. It seems that we should find a secluded place to discuss this matter next time. Qian Yuman took it from him like a thief and immediately stuffed it into his bag. Good brother, my sister will never forget your kindness. Come and let me treat you to some expensive wine. As she said that, Qian Yuman took out her bottle of fake DNA of cognac. Xian Yingzhi immediately exclaimed when he saw the appearance. Wow, the DNA of cognac. I want to try it in my dreams. Qian Yuman raised his eyebrows and said slyly. Seeing that you have helped me a lot, I will treat you to a drink. Xian Yingzhi's lovely head shook rapidly. No way, the wine is very expensive, how can you drink it for free? Qian Yuman's eyes flashed with light. This wine now sells for at least $2 million. How about I drink it with you, each of you pays half of the price, and you give me $1 million. He, she does have a business acumen, which means she has an expensive income. Xian Yingzhi didn't realize that he was being cheated, so he happily took out a blank check and wrote down 1 million, but he didn't know that it was all a routine. When Xian Ying drank the DNA of cognac, he raised his eyebrows in surprise. It tastes good, but why does it taste so much like Remy Martin? Qian Yuman secretly laughed in her heart. It was actually Remy Martin. She specially chose a bottle of good vintage to pretend to be, so she didn't fool him too much. If not for its taste, it couldn't be Martell. My lovely brother, it's only my sister's fault that I am too poor and need your help. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 77. Chapter 77. Are you a man? When Qian Yuman went back, she held medicine on her left hand and a movie on her right hand, and went back in a hurry. Repeated yesterday's preparations, but this time it was a little different. She put the movie into the DVD, adjusted the channel, and turned off the TV. This time Qian Yuman lay on the bed first, waiting for Mr. Tang to return to the room. This time she almost fell asleep while waiting. There was a rustling sound beside her. She woke up leisurely and saw Tang Yuj about to go to bed. Qinyi Man Liu jumped up from the bed. She actually fell asleep and almost forgot to do important things. Qian Yuman's actions frightened Tang Yuj into watching her do stunts in a daze. Mr. Tang, I have something to tell you. Qian Yuman crawled out of bed and poured all the red wine into the glass. After a pause while pouring the wine, she noticed that the positions of the two glasses had changed slightly. Qian Yuman, who has a photographic memory, clearly remembers the placement. Did she forget when she moved? Qian Yuman was only confused for a second, then immediately shook off his doubts and poured the wine into the wine glass with the ingredients. Put the red wine with the added flavor into Tang Yuj's hands and speak seriously. Mr. Tang, I have a serious question to tell you, but only if you drink this glass of wine with me. Although Qian Yuman's request was strange, he still complied. Just as he was about to smell and taste the wine, she directly helped him drink it quickly. She held his wrist and moved it closer to his mouth to force him to drink it faster. Smell it again and pour it out again. Tang Yuj quickly drank a glass of wine, and Qian Yuman took a small sip because everyone was watching him drink. Taking the wine glass from Tang Yuj's hand, he put the wine back on the coffee table and fetched the remote control. She sat at the end of the bed, patted the seat next to her, and invited him to come and sit with her. Tang Yuj walked over and sat down with a gentle smile. What are you doing mysteriously? Qian Yuman sat next to him, keeping her eyes on him, observing his reaction expectantly. Mr. Tang, do you feel anything wrong with your body? Tang Yuj tugged on his collar and said doubtfully. There are some. It's only mid-April and it's already starting to get hot. Qian Yuman turned her back and smiled evilly. Of course it was hot, it was going to happen. It's just, why does she feel a little hot? As soon as Qian Yuman pressed the remote control in her hand, the TV screen started playing an action movie. This was her first time watching a movie with a man. Qian Yuman lowered her head shyly, waiting for Mr. Tang beside her to turn into a wolf. When Mr. Tang saw the picture on the TV, he took a deep breath and looked at the picture in surprise. She felt the body next to her leaning towards her, and her body stiffened. Was this about to start? Unexpectedly, Tang Yuj took the remote control from Qian Yuman's hand and turned off the TV directly. Really, why are Uncle Li's things in our room? I'll take them and return them to Uncle Li. Tang Yuj stood up and took away the CD with an embarrassed look on his face. Qian Yuman's mouth twitched wildly and she looked at Tang Yuj with a ghostly expression. What's the situation? He. She was like this, why didn't he respond at all? Qian Yuman was angry and exploded. She couldn't bear it anymore. What the is reserve? Throw it away. She stepped forward, reached out to hold Tang Yuj's hand, and pushed it forward. Yuman shouted at Tangyuj with an angry look on his face. Tangyuj, are you a man? Are you incapable? If you don't respond, I will take you to see a doctor. Wait a minute, Yuman's face turned red instantly. I am very pure, I am very innocent, I am pure and handsome. Someone is thinking casually. I'm giving my concubines a pack of scouring powder. Is it enough? If you don't have enough, come and get it from me. But you have to sleep with me in exchange. Laugh evilly. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 78. Chapter 78 Lamb to the Slaughter. Tangyuj raised his eyebrows and looked at Yuman, who was staring at him with red ears and red ears. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and a look in his eyes made people look shy. You say I can't do it? Yuman blushed with embarrassment and even felt timid. She was a little bit unable to get off the tiger and wished she could jump into the Huangpu River and swim for a lap. Can't blame her for her wild thoughts, who made the man in front of her act so desireless. You bastard, you, it's not your problem. I've seduced you so many times and asked you if you wanted a child, but you haven't moved. So I doubt you. I even think you are having an affair with Secretary Zhang. However, Yuman didn't dare to say the last sentence, because the man in front of her had his mouth almost split to the back of his head. I don't care, whether you like men or not, you must obey me today. Hung hung. Yuman started to compete with himself. It was not so strong at first, and he wanted it to happen naturally. It just so happened that this man had a dull head and didn't seem to be interested in her at all. How can this be done? I don't want to think about who she is. She is Yuman, a rare and stunning beauty in the world. However, her husband refuses to pick the sweet flowers. He works as an old monk every day and has a close relationship with his secretary. In the end, everyone was a little angry and refused to accept that their charm was useless in front of him. Why didn't he get the idea? Today he must be put to death on the spot. Everything about his reserve is exasperated by his elm-headed head. Yuman started directly, very boldly. Tangyuj took off his glasses with a smile, staring at her with evil eyes, and a slight evil smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, as if he was a guest. Wife, do you suspect that I like men? Do you still doubt that I can't do it? Huh? Lifting up Yuman's hair that was spread out on the bed sheet, he stared at her pretty face with evil eyes and slowly approached. Tangyuj gave her a very different feeling at this moment, making her feel like she was being watched by a big bad wolf. Yin was very courageous just now, and her ambition was to execute him on the spot. Being stared at by his beautiful eyes, I felt that my courage had been exhausted in the past few days, and I actually felt timid. Can she escape now? Tangyuj hooked his fingers in her hair and played with it. Honey, how can you doubt me? It seems that you can only prove yourself with practical actions. Tangyuj smiled evilly and spoke in a high-sounding way. Yuman's beautiful eyes widened, and why suddenly she felt that she was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Calm down, Mr. Tang, you need to calm down. Yuman was a little scared, as if she was being eaten alive by Tangyuj. It was too dangerous. Tangyuj was unmoved. He threw away his pajamas and stared down at her shy eyes. Yuman couldn't help but swallow her saliva. Tangyuj's complexion was fair. Why would a man with fair skin have a tall figure, strong muscular chest and 8-pack abs, curves and yin, and body proportions that could be described as perfect? Why are there men in the world who are so unsuitable for not wearing clothes? Coupled with his handsome face, there is a bohemian smile on the corner of his mouth at the moment, and his eyes are as sparkling and attractive as stars. He is wild and unrestrained, evil and sexy, making people fall in love with him accidentally. Her eyes were completely sucked, and her saliva was almost dripping. It's so handsome. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 79. Chapter 79, Shedding Tears of Regret. Tanyu's skin color is fair. Why do some men with fair skin have a tall figure, strong chest muscles and 8-pack abs, with clear curves, and the body proportions can be described as perfect? Why are there men in the world who are so unsuitable for wearing clothes? Coupled with his handsome face, there is a bohemian smile on the corner of his mouth at the moment, and his eyes are as sparkling and attractive as stars. He is wild and unrestrained, evil and sexy, making people fall in love with him accidentally. Her eyes were completely sucked, and her saliva was almost dripping. It's so handsome. Tanyuj is completely different now. He still has the honest, gentle, and honest look he had when they first met him. He looks like a male temptress, seducing her with every look and every move he makes. She felt like her whole body was heating up, as if she was the one taking the medicine, not the person in front of her. Seeing that his appearance has changed so much, is it because the medicine has taken effect? He. Mr. Tang's current version is so delicious, it's like a walking medicinal spring. Mr. Tang smiled evilly and slowly leaned down to kiss Jianyuman. Jianyuman's body stiffened and she forgot to breathe, gradually getting lost in his gentleness. She felt that she was getting hotter and hotter, and her brain gradually lost the ability to think, immersed in the love network he created. After the kiss ended, Jianyuman looked at the man with blurred eyes, and the man slightly curled his lips and whispered softly in her ear. "Honey, you are so beautiful." Jianyuman's face instantly turned red, and she shyly turned her face away, not daring to look directly at her. She was obviously shy and wanted to retreat, but her hands and feet were disobedient. Ah, hello. What is she doing? This feeling is very similar to that of her who accidentally took the medicine not long ago, but the feeling is not that strong. Tanyuj, with a smile in his eyes, couldn't help but look at the red wine glass not far away, smiled evilly, and leaned down to continue. The room was getting more and more heated, and from time to time there were some fascinating sounds and angry conversations. Jianyuman shed tears of remorse that night. She regretted countless times why she took such initiative, and regretted her actions countless times. It was her own fault that she couldn't survive. She didn't expect it to hurt so much. Woo-oh. Sure enough, a certain movie is a lie. Woo. Early the next morning, Jianyuman looked gloomy and looked at Tanyuj, who was in a happy mood with a look of resentment. He was in a very bad mood. He turned his head angrily, got out of bed awkwardly, and walked with his feet arched and his waist supported. As soon as he took a step, his legs became weak and he almost fell to the ground. Tanyuj quickly supported Jianyuman and said with a bright smile, "Honey, I'll carry you to dinner." Tanyuj picked up Princess Jianyuman, walked briskly to the dining table in a happy mood. Go. Tanyuj, let me down. I can walk by myself. Honey, don't be brave, there are no outsiders in the house anyway. Get out of here, it's not you who did it. I said no last night, but what did you do? Who makes you doubt me? As a man, I can only prove myself with my strength. Jianyuman tilted her head and shed tears of regret again. She wanted to retract all her previous doubts about Mr. Tang. He was normal and even many times better than ordinary men. Woo. Regret. She is still to blame for everything, she brought it all on herself, she forced him to do it first. Her complaints would be met with innocent looks from Tanyuj, accusing him of being the victim. With the veteran driver driving, Xiao Manman and Xiao Jej finally became a real couple, spreading flowers. My pure beloved concubine, cover your face and look away. I believe you will not be led astray. Your body is upright and you are not afraid of mental pollution. The concubines are so great. I asked for recommendation votes in the morning and it was up to standard in the afternoon. 4 updates tomorrow. The recommendation votes continue. This time, I will leave a message in the book review area. You can express your love for Xiao Jej, Xiao Manman, and Xiao Yingying. The focus is on me, handsome than me. You can comment on articles and remind updates in various ways, AI Faye understands, and long comments are even better. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 80. Chapter 80 Paying Back the Money. In the next few days, the following conversations and scenes will often appear in a certain villa. On the evening of the first day, when it was just getting dark, Tanyuj happily held Qian Yuman in his arms. "Honey, it's getting late, let's go back to the room." I refused. Qian Yuman looked at Tanyuj resentfully, still unable to straighten her waist or stand upright. Wife, big innocent eyes, aggrieved expression. "All right. All right. Go back to the room." The next morning, Tanyuj got up happily, brushed his teeth and washed his face. It was already dawn, and Qian Yuman's Hung was lying on the bed helplessly, staring at the ceiling with half-open eyes. She hadn't gotten up to cook for the second day, and she didn't have the strength to get up. "Wife, get up. Get away, I don't want to see you." "Wife, what's wrong, are you feeling uncomfortable?" Tanyuj asked innocently. Qian Yuman jumped up from the bed in an instant and pointed angrily at the frantic Mr. Tang. "You have the nerve to ask, it's not you who is the reason why you can't get up? Don't you know when enough is enough?" Tanyuj said pitifully. "Wife, it doesn't matter if you are considerate of me. Besides, I haven't done it before, but now I am inevitably a little intoxicated. I will pay attention to it next time." "There's no next time, let me die like this, don't lie anymore." "Honey, you were the one who doubted me in the first place, I just..." "Shut up." Qian Yuman tilted her head and shed tears of regret again. "You will not live if you do it yourself." Every time Mr. Tang said this, she was confused. The next night, Tanyuj enthusiastically packed up Qian Yuman and rushed to the room. "Honey, it's getting late. It's a bit cold today. I have nothing to do. Let's..." "I refuse, it's not just that matter," it's said in such a grand manner. Tanyuj smiled and said nothing, because some people would beg him later. On the morning of the third day, I still couldn't get up. At night, it's still the same. Over the next 10 days, the two of them lived a life without shame or impatience. At first Qian Yuman refused in various ways, but later she found that she could not refuse the gluttonous Mr. Tang, and he was a glutton in all kinds of ways. How is this possible? Who is she? Qian Yuman? The dirty king in this area is famous in the world of dirty gods. How could he be so passive? So, after being passive for 5 days, Qian Yuman began to counterattack. Take out the battle clothes and buy the handcuffs. Never admit defeat. She, Qian Yuman, will never lose to Mr. Tang. Just let him beg and say he lost. However, this is not the case. Qian Yuman becomes stronger and stronger, and Mr. Tang becomes more and more energetic. The two of them gradually became indifferent. From that day on, except during class time, the two of them stayed together. Sometimes we do some exercise together, sometimes we read books together, and sometimes we do our own thing. Occasionally there is eye contact, one person will always change, and then a war will break out. During this time, they were like Siamese twins, always stuck together. Qian Yuman thinks that she is very happy now. She has a husband who loves her and is so handsome. How happy she is. One morning, Qian Yuman helped Tanyuj dress and tie his tie, and put a check into his hand. "I'll pay you back for buying a wife." Tanyuj glanced at the amount on the check and looked at Jianyuman strangely. 1 million? Where did you come from? You don't have to worry about where it comes from. I once said that I wanted to borrow 1 million from you. When I have the money, I will pay you back naturally. End of this chapter.